The anatomy of high conflict leadership. Why do we fall for narcissists and sociopaths? In today's contemporary political and social landscape, a troubling paradox has emerged. Why do civilized societies often grant power to individuals who exhibit clear signs of narcissism and sociopathic behavior? Bill Eddy, a therapist, mediator, and prominent advocate, seeks to solve this puzzle in his book, Why We Elect Narcissists and Sociopaths, and How We Can Stop. This work provides a brilliant framework for understanding global and domestic political trends characterized by extreme polarization and the rise of authoritarian leadership styles. The man behind the analysis, who is Bill Eddy? Bill Eddy is not your typical political commentator. His background as a therapist and high-conflict mediator gives him a unique perspective to identify human behavioral patterns that often go unnoticed by traditional political analysis. He combines deep psychotherapeutic experience with legal understanding to detect what he calls high-conflict people, HCPs, individuals who have become a tangible threat to the stability of democratic orders worldwide. The high-conflict personality, HCP formula. One of Eddy's most significant contributions is the identification of a predictable formula used by narcissistic and sociopathic leaders. These individuals do not win based on the substance of their policies. Instead, they succeed through structured emotional manipulation. Their strategies typically include creating a target of blame. These leaders always need an enemy. They divert attention from their own failures by pointing at a specific group as the cause of all problems. Savior rhetoric. They position themselves as the only ones capable of facing the perceived threat. Their narcissism leads them to believe and makes their followers believe that they possess extraordinary powers that others lack. Exploiting polarization. Eddy details how this leadership style intentionally triggers division. The more a society is divided, the easier it is for them to consolidate power through a us versus them narrative. Why do we choose them? Eddy explains that narcissists and sociopaths often possess a dazzling charisma at first. In times of crisis or economic uncertainty, traits that are actually pathological, such as overconfidence and a lack of empathy, are frequently misinterpreted as decisiveness or strength. This phenomenon is also linked to social dominance theory, where power tends to reduce an individual's capacity for empathy, making the masses feel safe under the protection of a dominant figure. Voters often fall into the illusion that a leader who is aggressive toward an enemy will be a loyal protector of their own group. Destructive impact and political polarization. The book warns that allowing narcissists and sociopaths to hold the reins of leadership leads to systemic damage. This leadership style not only erodes public ethics, but also normalizes a feudal culture where officials feel entitled to act uncivilly toward those of lower social status. Long-term polarization is a direct result of their strategy to maintain power by keeping society in a state of permanent conflict. How can we stop doing it again? The final section of Eddy's book offers practical recipes for citizens to break this cycle. Key steps include identifying patterns, not promises. Learn to detect early signs of narcissism, constant need for praise, lack of empathy, and sociopathy. Pathological lying, breaking rules without remorse. Tracking conflict history. Pay attention to how they handle criticism. Narcissistic leaders are usually hypersensitive to critique and will respond with aggression or gaslighting. Choosing integrity over charisma. Stop looking for saviors and start looking for leaders with a track record of collaboration, empathy, and respect for legal institutions. Conclusion. Bill Eddy's book is essential reading for anyone trying to understand why our political climate has felt so toxic lately. By dissecting the mechanisms of narcissism and power, Eddy provides not just a diagnosis of our political ailments, but a way out toward a healthier, more rational, and more humane form of leadership. The future of democracy depends on our ability to see behind the mask of charisma and reject the false allure of narcissists and sociopaths.